Welcome, everybody, to the Bassfug Podcast. Today, we have a very massive guest. Today, we have Nico all the way from... Are you in Bulgaria or Belgium right now?
I'm in Bulgaria, but I was born in Belgium, yes.
Okay. AKA Nickynutz. Welcome to the program.
Welcome. Welcome home.
Yeah. Have you played in Canada?
Of course. I used to live in Montreal altogether close to 5 years,
Oh, wow.
I think. So I was there from 99 to 2001 when it was Cringer, Blue Dog Fridays and stuff. And then I lived again in Montreal from 2011 to 2013.
Oh, wow.
And at that time, I played, I think, twice in Toronto with Ninja Farai, the Archangel, the Mighty Dreadnought, different people from the scene. I played also in Ottawa, in Montreal, of course, Quebec City, Vancouver with 16 Arm Jack, Buckley, and Cringer. And then one festival in the summer on Vancouver Island, Soundwave Festival. It was that year, let me remember, 2008. And there was a drum and bass stage. So it's on the Pacific Ocean side of the island. And there was that year Matt the Alien, Shimon from Ram Record, and Marcus Intalex was there too, RIP. Yeah, that was 2008. I was not living in Montreal then, but they kind of booked me and I went for the festival and for some other parties in Quebec province the same summer. Yeah.
How did you find the scenes? Did you find the jungle scenes were good, or
Where?
in Canada? But because the reason why I asked that is I know Toronto has a long history of jungle. If you go to jungletapes.com, I'm not sure if you're familiar with that website. There was a lot of radio. It wasn't necessarily pirate radio. It was like jungle radio on like the jazz stations there, the college radio stations. I forget what it was, but you know they'd have like Shy Effects and stuff like on there, and you could get an archive of all these just beautiful jungle tapes from the late '90s. So there's a bit of history in Toronto. I'm not sure about the rest of Canada. I know there was some in Halifax in the East Coast and stuff like that. So I was just curious if in the 2000s, if you found there was still a good scene or if it changed a lot, because around that time, I think dubstep was probably the main genre, right?
Not yet. I mean, I was a bit too late for the big wave of Toronto because it was basically before 99, 2000.
Yeah.
Then it started to go down. I played in Toronto, but the parties were not like 500 people. No.
Yeah.
It was not there anymore. Montreal was at the time getting more and more stuff going on. I mean, it was not only jungle, it was drum and bass jungle, but there was a lot of things going on these years. At some point, there was places, venues, different venues you could go any day of the week and listen to drum and bass or jungle music. There were many different people throwing parties, English speaking people, French speaking people, both sides, loft parties, bar parties, rent venue parties, all different type of stuff. And so, yeah, I mean, for me, when I was there, it was a living scene. Yeah, sure.
What do you think the appeal of jungle is, you know? Because when you look at jungle, it's mostly just the one amen breakbeat, but it's a very loved music genre that's sort of has different subgenres to it. What do you think it is about the genre and specifically the amen breakbeat that draws people in?
The amen is a part of the movement, but it's not the only element. It's a important element, but there are also a lot of tunes in the jungle that don't use the amen break. Of course, it's powerful break. I mean, it has a lot of different hits. The recording is great. The drummer is great. So basically, until today, there is no other break that can say, now the amen break is over, it's my time. The amen break is still the king of the breaks. But I would not reduce the jungle music to the amen break. Of course, it gives a lot of power to the tunes, but you have also great vibes in jungle tunes without that break. What makes jungle is a mix of funk, 70s funk music, drum breaks that are used, sampled and reprocessed and chopped, but it's combined with a lot of different elements, from dub music, from ska, from reggae, dancehall, clash tapes, movie soundtracks, rare groove, soul, hip hop, many, even classic music, because you have some famous classic songs that have been used in jungle as well. So what makes it more attractive, I think it's the combination of different styles into something new, full of energy, up-tempo, with a lot of variation. And so it makes the music a bit more complex and, I guess, attractive to some ears.
You mentioned something I've never heard of. You said clash tapes. Is that right?
Yep.
Well, what's a clash tape?
I mean, people used recording of sound clash from the UK or sound clash from Jamaica.
Oh, okay.
Between the big sound systems. And they use part of these recordings because there is a lot of energy, shoutings, and whatever you can feel in these tapes. So it's an element also that has been used, of course.
How did you start producing? Around what year were you doing that? Were you DJing first or were you producing first?
Yeah, I've been collecting records first since, I bought my first 7-inch when I was maybe 11 years old. And then going to the club, underground club in my city every weekend. We've been exposed to many great music. And so we were hunting these records, asking the DJ the reference, and then hunting the records in secondhand stores. So I was gathering 45s in my teenager years. And then we, with some friends, started to play these records at some birthday parties, private parties, or even sometimes weddings. And then after that, I started to DJ more electronic music in Montreal. When I arrived there in 99, started to buy breakbeats. I mean, a lot of records from the breakbeats scene, like the freestylers and stuff like that. You know, Apollo 440. And after that, pretty fast, I switched to jungle music. So basically, yes, this is in Montreal that I started to play publicly.
When did you start producing?
February 2004. and DJing, let's say, at the end of 2009, early 2000. So 4 years after.
Why did you start producing? Just because you wanted to play your own songs, or you felt pressure that you needed to become more than just a DJ? Or
at some point, some friend from my city showed me the basic tools in what was then the Ableton Live 4 version.
Okay.
And I spent just one afternoon with that guy. And then I downloaded a pirate version of that Live 4.
Okay.
And started to make music. And after a few months, after a few lost projects due to crashes, I bought with another friend the version 5 official. Because at that time you still had the possibility to buy one copy of the software for 2 different people.
Oh, that's cool.
Which is not allowed anymore these days, but it was like that. So yeah, I switched quite quickly to the official version. And since then I'm using strictly that program, yes.
Okay. I'm curious, I know some producers just use jungle packs. I think, what was the famous one, Jungle Warfare? Are you more into sample packs, or do you go crate digging and find your own breakbeats for your productions?
I'm not really much into jungle packs. I mean, I have a personal collection of samples that I have gathered through the years. I mean, through different people, and of course, when it's the drum breaks, I mean, I use the classic jungle breaks like a lot of other artists. Sometimes I bring some more personal breaks that I found myself digging into old music. But if you want your music to sound like jungle, it's not only about the patterns or the tempo, it's also about these specific drum breaks that are used somehow. Of course, there is a lot of breaks used, so you have a lot of possibilities still. And of course, it's nice if sometimes you bring a new drum break as well.
Mm.
So it's a blend of classic breaks and more personal breaks, but let's say 80% are classic breaks.
What advice would you give someone who wanted to start producing jungle? It sounds like a funny question, but I was asked actually 2 weeks ago by a friend of mine. He's a EDM kind of main stage sort of DJ, but apparently now there's a part of like a subgenre where they're putting in a lot of classic sort of rave sounds and jungle sounds. And he was asking me, and I didn't really know so much how to answer that. I just told him, go get a jungle pack, you know? What would you recommend for a new producer trying to get into jungle? Should they sort of listen to the greats first before they start producing, or?
Yeah, I suppose probably they should start to listen to the pioneers. I mean, to the people who created the genre. And then, of course, they can add their personal touch to it. But if they want to produce jungle, they first need to know what is it about.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying that you have to listen to all the other people in the scene, because this is not really necessary, and it can lead you to be more confused, because at the end of the day, I guess your goal is to have kind of your own sound.
Mm.
So the more different artists you will listen to, it can make the opposite effect. I mean, once you know what the style is, I mean, what the genre is, it's good to focus on your way of handling it, I guess.
Do you have a background in music before you started DJing? Were you playing like any sort of traditional instruments or anything like that, playing in bands or?
No, nothing. No, just got the musical ear, I guess. I never made any course lessons, whatever. No, I never did any. Been listening to a lot of music though since my, I don't know, 10 when I was 10 years old.
What were you listening to?
Oh, the radio at that time.
Yeah.
Then you were ready with a blank tape, pressing record when a tune you like was playing, cutting for the commercial. You know, the old way.
Yeah. The original pirate radio, I guess. What's it like? Well, actually, you know what? Let's talk about that. I know there's some pirate radio stations that still exist. Is that correct?
I don't know. You mean FM radio or internet radio?
Well, like with because for me, when I think of jungle, I think of sort of this cyberpunk aesthetic almost, where people would just find radio receivers or have their own radio receivers transmitters that were illegal. And
yeah, it was like that in the UK in the 90s. Yeah, it was like that. But I don't think it's like that anymore. No. It's more like established now, radio shows. And a lot of things going on also online.
Yeah. There's another thing I wanted to ask you about your label. What's it like running a label? It seems like it'd be really hard because, especially with vinyl now, I don't know, is vinyl doing good or is like you're talking about streaming, has digital taken over vinyl?
This is a complex question. I mean, there are all kinds of people. There are people buying digital. There are people buying records. Of course, this COVID situation didn't help with the shipping. But if you talk about the jungle scene, there is a lot of records that are released now. There are even, I know this from people from the scene, there are too many, not too many, it's good to have a lot, but the people can't follow. I mean, the junglies, they don't have money enough to buy all the releases that are out. So they have to make choices because there is a lot of stuff going out, which is good. I mean, it means the scene is strong. And like in the reggae dub scene, the jungle scene is a scene where there is still a big appeal for the vinyl. Yeah, it is there.
Why do you think that is?
Because it started like that. Because the sound, I mean, most of these people like me, they grew up with the vinyl. So it's just natural that it's on record. And it's more fun to DJ too. And you know, the vinyl is different than buying to get a 0 and 1s in your computer with a digital file. It's something you can touch, something like a piece of art. You have a sleeve, you have artwork with it, not all the time, but it makes it like a real thing, like an object, you know. I mean, a digital file is just a digital file. It will never be the same.
And you could resell it too if you need money.
Yeah, I mean, some people do that. Usually me, I'm not selling my records, but yeah. Nobody can say, oh, I will sell my collection of MP3s.
Yeah, exactly. When did you start your label and why did you start your label?
Oh, I started it in 2005. Because of circumstances. I mean, I had the chance financially at that time to throw a record. And and I had some connections in the scene to do it, so I did it. It's like that it happened. I didn't handle the distribution process at that time. I mean, it was handled by other people.
How did you team up with these other people? Was it like big distributors, or is it like one company, or?
Yeah, it was one big distributor. It doesn't exist anymore. It's like that. It's something that had his time, and it's over.
Okay. Because I'm curious, because now you see a lot of people starting labels now, but with Bandcamp, but tapes are kind of creeping in too. And I'm wondering, for anyone out there who's listening, who's trying to start their own labels, like what can they do if in 2020 to at least have some success getting physical releases out, you know? And you talked about having a distributor to help you move your records. I think a lot of people, when they start their own labels, they think they have to do everything themselves, but they don't realize that you could contact a drop shipping place. Even Amazon drop ships. If you send them a box of your inventory, they'll sell it for you, you know?
Well, from my experience, I think it's better to do everything yourself.
Okay.
That's my conclusion. And anyway, these days there is not so many. I mean, like I said, for the whole US and Canada market, there is no more distro. There is still a couple in Europe. Yeah, it's good to have them, to sell some records with them, but mostly you got to do the thing yourself.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. How have you been spending your quarantine? Have you been producing more or less music? Some of the people we've been talking to, I've been doing a lot of interviews this week, and it's kind of different per person. Some producers are producing more music. Some producers are using it just to play video games or whatever. How have you been spending your quarantine?
In my case, I had no real quarantine because my job didn't stop. So, okay. I mean, the only difference is instead of going to the office, I work from my place. Uh-huh. I still work from my place now, which is nice, I have to say. But no, I didn't produce more during that period of time. I'm a prolific producer anyway, but no, I didn't produce more during the quarantine.
Yeah, I noticed that you have like a lot of releases. I think you released something yesterday even. What are you using for you said Ableton earlier. What about your VSTs? What are some of your favorite VSTs that you're using?
I don't really use any. I mean, except one bus compressor that I put on the master at the end after my mix down is done. So it's just one bus compressor. It's not even one that you have to pay for.
Okay.
It's a free one. I'm not a big fan of VSTs. I mean, there is enough, in my opinion, there are enough tools in the software, I mean, in Ableton itself. I mean, this is my way of doing things. I mean, a lot of people have different ways. Everybody is own way of doing music, but I don't use really a lot of VSTs, no.
So are you using some of the synths that are built in, or are you mostly just sample based?
I use a lot of samples. I dig for samples, unused ones. Sometimes I use some synths in Ableton, but it's really not the main time. No, it's maybe 10%. And sometimes it happened also that I have played some melodies on some friends' synthesizers in their studio. it happened, but once again, it's a few times. If I compare to the amount of tunes that I've done, it's once again, it's not 10%, it's less. So yeah, my music is basically sample based.
You said you're prolific. What makes you prolific? I know, like, talking to other people, some people, they can't even release a song a year. You know, they're so critical of their own music that it has to be super perfect, and they end up not releasing. Whereas you're saying that you're releasing a lot of music. What do you think? Why do you think that is? Why do you think you produce more music than some other producers?
I don't know. To be honest, I don't know. I mean, they were part of my life where I was only working half-time job.
Okay.
So during these times, of course, you have much more time for the music. There were times without job also. But yeah, I mean, it's been, for me, in my case, it's been a constant thing. I mean, to make music, to produce new tunes. I mean, I don't remember really, since I started, I don't remember one year in particular where I could say, oh, that year I haven't done music, or I have done only a few tunes. I don't remember any year like that. So I don't know. It's something inside of me, and when I start a tune, I will finish the tune most of the time in the next days. If I don't do it in one shot, I will do it in maybe 2, maximum 3 times, working on it. I mean, I'm not keeping work in progress like that in my computer. I mean, I'm not that type of producer with a ton of works in progress. I mean, I start a tune, I finish a tune.
Yeah.
This is how I work.
Square Pusher is like that. He starts working on a tune, and if he doesn't like it, he just deletes it and starts a new one. You know, but it's cool that you're able to find inspiration to, you know, produce so frequently. Do you find that when you look back on your back catalog, do you feel like you really accomplished something? Do you feel good about it, or you just don't care?
No, it's nice. I mean, you see like some type of accomplishment, of course, and recognition, whatever. I mean, and when it's coming from not only one country, but when you have the chance to release on, I don't know, in my case, it's of course Belgian label, because my label is from Belgium, but German label, Netherlands label, UK label, US label. I'm just talking about vinyl right now.
Yeah.
If you speak digital, then it's much more. So yeah, it's nice. I mean, it's kind of something to push you as well. I mean, not to push you, but it's something there, like accomplishment, and it's nice. It's nice to have this object also, and to know that other people have your little baby.
Yeah,
and can play it as well.
And we're inspired by it. You know, people were inspired by your music because you've been established for so long that they started their own projects.
Yeah, sure. I mean, and for us, it's the same. I mean, when we started, there were people before us inspiring us, like Remark, like Dillinger, like many people from back in the days, BZB. You know, there were a lot of people working with the Amen breaks since the early 90s. I mean, even Salt and Pepper used the Amen break on their first album in '86, before To Life Crew.
Oh wow!
Before the Los Angeles hip hop acts. So it's not something really new. And every generation has artists that are inspiring them to create what they are creating. I mean, I think it works like that.
Do you find this era of jungle in 2020 is based purely on sort of nostalgia for the older sound, or do you find that jungle in 2020 is finding its own sound?
It's a good question. I mean, it's a mix of both. There is a lot of nostalgia. I mean, there is a lot of references to the so-called golden era of jungle, 93, 95. But there are also artists pushing boundaries and making it, let's say, 2000. It's a mix of both, yeah, in my opinion.
This is going to sound like kind of a stupid question, but the theme of Jamaican culture is very prevalent in jungle. I think for guys like us that are familiar with the scene, we kind of understand. But to someone who isn't really familiar with jungle, what is the connection with the Jamaican culture and jungle?
It's a lot present because the music was created by Jamaican people living in the UK, among the people who started. And of course, people, they brought elements from their culture, from the records, from their parents, etc. And then it's just like that. It happened like that. I mean, it's a UK thing that happened in the early 90s. It's the explosion of the rave scene, of the electronic instruments, the sampler, Akai, and then all these people gathering records from their collection and starting to sample the parts that they like or that they want to bring in something new. I mean, this is how it happened. It's part of the element of the culture, which is great, actually.
And that sort of that vibe still stands true today. One thing I wanted to ask you specifically about sort of the reggae cultures, the samples. You were saying earlier you were sampling Soundclash tapes, which I didn't hear of before. How are you EQing out these recordings so that they fit inside of your jungle? Because I always wondered how you would isolate the vocals of an MC just screaming into a microphone. Like, how would you isolate that out from the music? What are the things that producers are using to mix it in with their jungle tracks?
Well, you use the EQ, one EQ that you have in your software. I mean, in your program, and most of the time, the quality of these recordings is already bad, and this is what makes it also interesting. I mean, it gives it a raw sound, something with power. It's crunchy, it's tasty, and on some of these tapes, the bass is saturating a lot. The vocal of the toaster of all the people in the tape, it's also like noisy, saturating. You use it like that. I mean, if you want to use it in a jungle tune, you just remove all the bass. You keep the frequency of the vocal, and you adjust the level of these in your mix, and maybe you add some reverb on it or some delay, but usually there is already a delay in these recordings because they were using delays in the sound clash. But yeah, you just manipulate a little bit the recording, and it's easily fitting in a tune.
Where do you find the recordings? Are you just going on YouTube, or do these tapes actually exist somewhere?
There are different sources. There used to be platforms gathering recordings like that available. I'm not sure they still exist, but yeah, you have also YouTube and different places where you can find recordings, different recordings from the 90s, from the 2000s, from all different times. Yeah.
Let's talk about...
Just need to search a bit, but you can find these.
Cool. Let's talk about your new releases. You said you have a new vinyl this summer that's coming out?
Yeah, there is a new project. It's a 4-tracker on limited 200 copies black vinyl, 180 grams. And it's on this famous UK label, which is really active since 2017, if I'm not mistaken. They have something like more than 20 records yet. And this summer, so the name of the label is Amenology. It's a London-based label. And for this summer, they have the project to have different one-shot sub-labels with every time a 4-tracker by one artist. And they offered me to have a 4-tracker in that series of records. So the pre-order is already on their official website, on Amenology. The name of the label is London Town Records. And so it's going to be LNDNTWN001, the catalog number. Wow. It's a 4-tracker with 2 tunes with more dancehall raga or old roots reggae samples, and then 2 other tunes with more melodic vibes and breaks still.
You have the catalog number memorized. That's crazy.
Yeah, I the label let me choose the name and the catalog number, so that's why I remember it.
Okay, wow.
We checked together, and London Town Records doesn't exist, so we go for this one because one tune, the main tune on the release, is named like that, London Town. That's the reason of the name of the label.
Nico, thank you so much for your time. I totally appreciate it. If people want to check you out... Oh, sorry?
I wanted to talk about another one.
Oh, let's do it.
Yeah, it's another 4-tracker record. It's already out. And this one is on my label, Animal Breaks. It's the 3rd record on it. The 2 first one were released in 2005. So there is a big gap, but the 3rd release is there. 4-tracker. It's on my Bandcamp. There is a tune with a featuring with Busy Bee and DJ Deluxe from Brain Records.
Sick.
Famous label. And yeah, you can discover all these tunes clips on Bandcamp, but you have the full audio of the 4 tunes on my main SoundCloud account, Nickynutz. You need to search a little bit because there is no playlist for it, but the 4 tunes are there too, with the sleeve artwork of the record, which is a tiger, because the EP is the Wide Like a Tiger EP. That's the name of it. There are also copies left.
Sick. where can people reach you online? If you were talking about your Bandcamp, what are your URLs?
I'm on SoundCloud for years. I have 3 accounts there because I don't pay anymore for this service. And I don't even have enough with 3 accounts. But I have 3 accounts there full. They are all linked together. And since a good moment now, I'm reposting the newer stuff on these 3 accounts. So basically, if you just follow the main one, you can find everything there. It's just a question of I don't have space enough. That's why I created the other ones.
Yeah, that's a really good idea. I used to have SoundCloud Pro or whatever, but I hated it. I don't know why. It's too much money, man. It's like $120 a month or a year or something like that.
I don't know, but anyway, their policy, the way, the player and everything, it's not so nice as it used to be. They also canceled this really nice tool that were the groups. It's not there anymore. It was a powerful tool to reach specific audience and to reach people, But of course, it was becoming too dangerous, the underground to unite like that. So they decided, okay, or they didn't decide it. They've been said probably by the music industry. That thing, the group, it's over. It's finished.
Yeah.
I would not understand another reason to stop that, because it was really something powerful. So since then, I decided I don't want to pay anymore for this service. And because my account has a lot of followers, I keep going with it. And because there are not really another platform to replace SoundCloud, there are other ones, but
like MySpace.
No, SoundCloud replaced MySpace, and then after SoundCloud, okay, you have different Mixcloud and Hear This and stuff like that, but it's different. People are still using SoundCloud because this is what is there still.
Do you think the music industry is still out to get underground acts? Do you think they're still trying to cause some subversion to steal talent from the underground, but also sabotage it?
I don't know. On SoundCloud, you have a lot of spam. People messaging you, offering you to have a lot of exposure, a lot of plays, a lot of likes.
Yeah.
I never answered these things. What's the point? At the end of the day, you just want the people who really appreciate your music to listen to it. You don't care about having more people if it's not really their interest.
Yeah.
And if someone wants to search for this music, it's not complicated. With internet today, if you Google a little bit jungle music, of course you will find artists and music produced today. So,
and documentaries.
There are also, yeah.
Yeah. Excellent. Nico, thank you so much. I totally appreciate your time. And I'll put your links in the show notes, and I'll let you know when we publish this.
Okay. No problem.
All right. Thanks a lot, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, have a nice day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.